I need to tell you about a girl I watched fall in love once, and then watched lose everything she had built that love around. Then watched rebuild herself from something so completely broken that most people would have simply accepted the wreckage. I was there for every part of it, the beginning, the middle, and the end that I am still not sure deserves to be called an ending. Some stories do not finish so much as they transform. The girl in this story is my sister, Maya. She was 24 this summer. She met Daniel at a small coffee place near the university where she was finishing her final year. He was quiet, the kind of person who listens so completely that you feel like the only important conversation is the one you are having with him. Maya, who had spent most of her childhood feeling invisible, fell for that quality with everything she had. She walked home feeling like someone had finally turned the light on in a room she had been navigating in the dark for years. They spent 8 months doing what people do when love is uncomplicated and new. Long walks without destinations. Cheap food at late hours in places that were more atmosphere than cuisine. Conversations that stretched past 3 in the morning. She felt like herself around him in a way she had never quite managed around anyone else. Lighter, more settled. Like someone who had finally located solid ground and was learning what it felt like to simply stand on it. Then our father got sick, and the world as we understood it rearranged itself overnight. The medical costs were immediate and enormous. My mother began selling things without telling us at first. Jewelry she had worn every day, furniture that had been in the house longer than I had, small valuable pieces of a life. That was when Robert appeared. He was wealthy, older than our father, and connected to our family through business. He sat across from our mother at the kitchen table and made an offer. He would cover every expense for our father's treatment. He asked for one thing in return. He wanted to marry Maya. My sister sat alone in her bedroom for 2 full days. She did not eat. She answered no messages. On the third morning she came out, sat with our mother, and said she would do it. Her voice was completely steady. She called Daniel the same afternoon. I sat in the hallway outside her door. I heard her voice through the wall, calm in the way that people are calm when they have already spent every piece of emotion. She told him everything between them had to end, and she needed him to accept that without asking for more. He asked her directly whether she still loved him. There was a silence. She said goodbye. She never answered his question. The wedding was 3 weeks later, small, functional. The kind of ceremony that communicates exactly what it is to everyone present. Our father began receiving proper care almost immediately, and for months our family moved with a kind of relief. But Maya stopped sleeping. She moved into Robert's home and discovered the version of him who made generous offers was a rogue. Inside his own house, he was controlling in the quiet, sustained way that is far more difficult to describe than open cruelty. He made decisions about her schedule, her wardrobe, her friendships, her contact with our family. All of it communicated in a tone so measured and reasonable that objecting felt like the unreasonable response. She called me sometimes late at night, speaking quietly from whatever corner of that large house felt furthest from him. We maintained the shared fiction that things were difficult but manageable until the night she found the folder. Inside were financial records spanning nearly 2 years prior to our father's diagnosis. Records that showed the debts our family had accumulated had been quietly purchased by Robert himself, 8 months before our father ever became ill. He had bought those debts in advance. He had positioned himself deliberately. The financial crisis that had made Maya feel like she had no choice had not arrived independently. It had been created. He had not rescued her at all. He had built the cage and then offered to be the key. She called me from the street outside his house that same night, holding nothing, having walked out without taking anything. I drove to her immediately and found her sitting on the curb looking, completely calm in the particular way that a person looks calm when something has broken so completely inside them. Then she asked me to stay quiet for 1 minute because she needed to make a call first. She called Daniel. He picked up on the second ring. I did not hear what he said on his end. I heard what she said on hers. She told him that she owed him an explanation she had not been able to give him before. She understood completely if too much time had changed too many things, but she was finally in a position to tell him the full truth. There was a silence on the line. Then she exhaled in a way that I realized I had not heard her exhale in almost a year. Like something she had been holding continuously had finally been set down. What happened in the months that followed belongs more to her. The legal process was long and required fighting for everything she deserved. Our father continued receiving care. She found a small apartment that she chose alone, furnished slowly, and woke up in every morning without whispering. I cannot tell you exactly where she and Daniel are now because that chapter is still being written. Some things deserve the privacy of not being turned into a story for other people to consume. What I can tell you is what I took from watching my sister move through the worst period of her life without ever fully breaking. The people who position themselves as your rescue are not always what they present themselves to be. The sacrifices you make out of love will almost always cost more than you are able to calculate at the time you make them. And the version of yourself that you set aside to survive a difficult season does not dissolve. It waits with a patience. Maya is 31 years old now. She looks like herself in a way that I had not realized I was missing until it returned. And sometimes when she laughs, I see the girl from the coffee place who had finally found ground solid enough to stand on. She just had to find it twice. The second time she built it entirely herself. If someone in your life is carrying more than they should in silence, reach out to them tonight. Some people are standing outside on a curb somewhere waiting for exactly one person to show up before they allow themselves to ask for help. Be that person. Subscribe to CARNICERO. Share this with someone who needs to hear it tonight. And I will see you in the next one.